Here's 7 massive things that are going to be coming to New World soon. Now, everything I'm about to say in this video is rooted in some kind of evidence. There's either been hints from AGS, or we've seen game files like from data mining, whatever. There's something to believe that these are all coming, but obviously we don't necessarily know when. Big shout out to my YouTube members though. Thank you very much to you guys. I do really appreciate it. If you want to support the channel, that's the best way to do so. Okay, so let's jump in. The first thing is definitely confirmed because it's on the roadmap, so I thought we'd get it out of the way first, and that is leaderboards. Now, whilst that sounds relatively simple, we actually don't know the details. Is it just going to be to see who can complete the expeditions in the fastest time? Who can get the highest points in an expedition? Essentially like high scores? Or will it be who's won the most outpost rushes? Who's won the most PvP arenas? Who has won the most wars? And so on. Maybe we get to the point who's killed the most chickens. You know, is it that kind of thing? I presume so. We just don't know at what point they're going to stop tracking everything and what's going to have leaderboards and what's not. There's a lot that could fall underneath that one, but it sounds pretty exciting nonetheless. And the next thing we're going to talk about, which could technically fall under the leaderboard category, but I don't know if it will or it won't, and that is ranked PvP. And I'm talking about ranked arenas specifically. You know, at some point they're going to do this, and if anything, I'm pretty sure they hinted at it in dev talks and stuff like that. We also know with the arena, for example, that they're going to try different battle sizes other than 3 versus 3. Whether or not they'll do more different variations before they do ranked, obviously I have no idea, but ranked PvP, ranked arenas will be absolutely insane for the PvP community out there. And I sort of suspect that this one will come in the next couple of months, as in I think it will be within the next 12 months. It may even be with the leaderboards, like I just don't know. I would be personally excited for ranked PvP, simply so that I can win 50% of my matches. Yes, I'll have to lose a billion first, but once I get to the bottom tier, I'll be playing against people who are equally as bad as me. That'll be great. So ranked arena is something I'm very much looking forward to myself. And the next thing we're going to talk about is mounts. Now, we know mounts are coming, and there was quite a lot of hype recently regarding mounts because Asmund said something on his stream, but we knew mounts were coming before the game even released. I think I saw an interview with the developers and they said, yeah, we'll do mounts whenever it makes sense in the game. And now we've seen Brimstone Sands, and obviously that zone's actually quite big, so actually there's now more reason to have mounts in the game, and we know they're going to come, we just don't know when again. But they said they're going to find a cool reason to do them and maybe implement them in a different way. So we might not just be getting a like World of Warcraft mount, we might be getting something with a little bit more intrigue, but you know, again, the details of which are quite scarce right now. Personally, I've always said about mounts that I'd actually like the teleporting to be maybe toned down, and I'd like us to have mounts. Feel like teleporting everywhere sort of disconnects you from the world, and mounts is like a great alternative to that because you can get places a lot faster. Running doesn't feel as painful. The next thing we're going to talk about are raids. Now, this once again was sort of confirmed, but in a very soft way on an Asmongold stream actually. So I believe when they were running Tempest Heart, when they'd done this like dev and community playthrough of Tempest Heart, Asmongold was like, hey, wouldn't it be nice if we have raids? And the developer, whose name escapes me right now, was like, yeah, that would be really cool. Wink wink, nudge nudge. So again, we pretty much know raids are coming, we don't know when. We also don't know important news like how big would the raids be? Would they be 10 man, 15 man, 20 man, 40 man? 100 man. Okay, they're not going to be 100 man, but you get the gist. One thing that they did do, which I felt like was setting up for raids, is that they turned off player collision in PvE, thus meaning like if you're in an expedition or whatever, you can now run through people, because getting body blocked on like a boss that you were trying to melee was an absolutely massive pain, and the fact that they've removed that now opens up the possibility of having proper PvE raids. And I think once they get raids, the game will start feeling like a proper MMO. When people complain about not having endgame content, a lot of the time they're talking about raids. If you have raids, people will stop saying that as much. I sort of wonder how you could implement raids with the current gear system, but maybe it won't be now, maybe it'll be in an expansion and the gear system might change, who knows. So the next one is a little bit more vague, but I think we all understand what it probably means or the intent. And I was reading a relatively recent interview with regards to like Brimstone Sands with the developers, and they spoke about Conquest Reset. Now, this is something that I know a lot of you people will probably be excited for, but effectively you've got to assume that this is somehow wiping all of the territory and who owns it and then letting people fight for it again. Basically starting a new gold rush, maybe like a fresh server feel, but even on the old servers. Now, I personally don't really see the point in this, because at the minute, how do you determine who gets the new zones again? Who gets Everfall in this new system? You've just wiped everything, but now who has Everfall? Is it just going to be whoever runs to the fort first and pays the 100 gold? That seems a little bit anticlimactic. There's almost no reason to do it other than to say, well, we're the ones who paid for it, and the ones who currently already had Everfall have now got to fight for it again. Well, you can cause them to fight for it again by just declaring a war against them. So I don't necessarily see how this will work. Maybe it's just so that they'll introduce like these seasons, and maybe there'll be a reward for who owns the most territories in that particular season for how long you own them and stuff like that. That'd be really cool, to be fair, and I guess resetting it would make sense as part of that journey. But until then, until we see the details, who knows what that's going to be. I really liked Crowfall's idea in terms of its like theory of having the world that was sort of refreshed every time, but it didn't quite seemingly work in practice. Hopefully New World can sort of just take a very small amount of that and maybe let us have a bit of fun with it. Like, I really like the idea of seasons. I think that's actually quite cool. Now the next one is something called gardening. Yes, it's actually an outdoor activity in real life, I believe, but I've never seen a garden myself. But the way that we know that this one is very likely is that it was sort of leaked by Amazon themselves. I can't exactly remember how, but when we had an issue with some items being removed, there were some items that were basically talking about gardening. I think maybe some people got them in game, but they were then like quickly removed. Either way, there were like profession crafting items relating to gardening. And I think that that makes sense for this game. I think it's going to be something really cool. Presumably it's going to just say, hey, if you own a house, you can now plant X number of seeds, and then you can harvest that on a daily or weekly basis or something like that. I think it would be a really cool mechanic. It might not be the most powerful thing to do, but it would be like a casual profession, which we saw the success of the music profession. So I think like having a casual gardening profession could really be something that people enjoy. And the next thing is probably a very obvious one, and that is going to be more weapons. They effectively have confirmed that more weapons are going to be on the table. I think they said in the dev update in January that it would go blunderbuss, greatsword, and then I think they mentioned daggers. We also saw from that leak where that guy was playing on the like friends and family server, and I'm pretty sure it had daggers there. And as well as daggers, I think we can assume that pistols will be coming. Now pistols for me are a little bit similar to the blunderbuss, at least in terms of how it looks. Obviously in terms of its gameplay, I don't know if that will be similar. I've got to presume not, but pistols and daggers I think are two weapons that we pretty confident are going to come to New World. And yet again, I suspect one of them, if not both of them, will be in the next 12 months. And there's obviously the question about dual wielding. If you're going to get daggers, then what's better than one dagger? Two daggers. And sort of the same with pistols. You know, if you've got one, you've got two hands, you might as well bum 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 bum. And there are other options as well. For example, other weapons that could combine with the shield. Of course, we could get like a mace and a shield, and maybe we get the spear and a shield. These are weapons that we actually see in game at times, so they would make sense as well. There's other magic weapons that could happen. I think there was rumors about a celestial gauntlet, although I think some people think that that is just the void gauntlet. It's hard to say for sure. And there's the angry earth staff, which sort of sounds like a nature healing weapon, but we don't necessarily know if they're coming. The developers haven't really spoke about those. Now, one of the key questions will be, when is all of this coming? Now, some of this might come before a paid expansion, but I think some of it will inevitably come in a proper paid expansion, which I'm estimating will be late next year. Not just because the patch numbers are going from like 1.7, 1.8, 1.9. It could, if they wanted to, they could do 1.10. And I know I never mentioned that in my video yesterday, but they could do that. Even if they do or they don't go up to 1.10 and they go up to like 1.11, if they do or they don't do that, I still think that the expansion will probably release towards the end of next year. I feel like they're probably going to go with the World of Warcraft style expansion rate of maybe like one every 2 years, give or take a few months. I think mounts are almost assuredly going to come in an expansion. I think that'll be a box feature. They'll be like, mounts are coming to New World, and that'll just be like a big selling point. I also personally think raids might be in that category, but they could surprise me on that one. I wouldn't be surprised if Conquest Reset's in that category, but I'm saying everything's in the paid expansion category. That leaves out what's going to happen in the next year. And apparently AGS are actually going to be giving us a new roadmap, so the answer will be revealed to us without me just guessing. I do think ranked PvP arenas might come before an expansion though. I think even gardening might make it before the paid expansion. And of course we will get new weapons. But those are the 7 massive things that I think are coming to New World. There's inevitably going to be more that I don't know about, but these are the ones that I think there's evidence to suggest these are coming, and probably coming within the next year or so. Did I miss anything obvious? Do let me know in the comments below. Another big shout out to my YouTube members. Thank you very much to you guys. I do honestly truly appreciate it. And if you want to support the channel, again, that is the best way to do so. What you should definitely do though is have a most beautiful day, like and subscribe. Goodbye.